My wife asked me for an open marriage because she can't leave her affair partner.
That's not how it works.
Similar thoughts. What? Hi, everyone. Strap in for a doozy. I could tell. To give some much needed context to the situation, I, 27 male, met my now wife, 27 female, via a dating app in late 2015. We spoke for a month before meeting in person for the first time, where I asked her to be my girlfriend. By the way, this comes from you-upstairs Fox 2852, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to ROK Storytime subreddit. So she said yes, and we were long distance for 3 years before moving in together in 2018. I moved away from my family and friends, and we found a house in the same town she was already living in. I proposed the following year, and then we got married in 2020.
Things move fast.
After that, we started trying for a baby. Speaking of moving fast.
Fast.
It took some time, and the pregnancy was very rough for my wife, eventually leading to a C-section. But our son was born in October 2021 and is now nearly 3 years old. This is where things get complicated. Leading up to our wedding, one of the bridesmaid sisters had a boyfriend who came to the wedding as their plus one. My wife ended up becoming friends with that boyfriend, and a few months later, after we got married, they started getting closer, and people began commenting on it. Okay. Not wanting to be an overbearing, jealous husband, I brushed it off. People of different genders can be just friends, right? Some more context and what I think drew them together. My wife and I are both very introverted, though she is slightly more outgoing. I prefer staying home rather than going out. And in hindsight, I may not have put enough effort to plan dates outside of the house. At the time, I thought we were both enjoyed doing things at home, and now she just had a friend to do outdoor activities with. They grew closer over time and were best friends during the time we were trying for a baby. People kept commenting, but I brushed it off, trying to be supportive of her having a close friend. She had struggled to make friends in the past, which I could relate to. So they clashed quite a bit, and it was often the shoulder she cried on. At one point, they stopped being friends altogether, and given how upset she was, it almost seemed like a breakup. They became friends again, and one night while they were out together, I noticed she hadn't logged out of Facebook on her computer. Are they gonna look?
Yeah.
Yes. Stupidly, I snooped on their messages. I discovered that he was in love with her.
Oh, nice.
And she had developed feelings for him too.
Oh, not
crap.
Nice.
But she wasn't acting on them because of me. I confronted her about it. She admitted he had confessed his feelings before, and she had turned him down, which led to them stopping their friendship. Okay, so that was the thing that ended the friendship. But when they reconnected, they agreed to be just friends again until she also developed feelings for him. I wanted to trust her, so I let it go.
Uh-oh.
By October 2021, close to Halloween, our son had been born. My workplace was going out for drinks after an office quiz, and we ended up meeting with my wife, my sister-in-law, the best friend, and a few others. Despite my usual dislike for clubs, I somehow ended up in one that night. And with booze in my system and whispers from friends and colleagues about how the best friend was acting too close to my wife, my anger started building. It all came to a head when my colleagues made an effort to separate my wife and the best friend while trying to bring my wife and me together.
That's bad.
This upset the best friend, and he decided to leave. My wife followed him.
No.
Someone whispered to me, "This isn't right. You should go after them."
Thank you, whoever said that.
That was the final straw. I went downstairs and saw them sitting on a sofa, embracing in a goodbye. In my wasted, furious state, that was too much. I told the best friend it was time to leave, and when he got up, I old 12'd him in the face.
Ooh.
Club staff quickly separated us, and I left suddenly very sober, walking all the way home.
This is really bad.
So the next few days revealed even more about their relationship. My wife convinced him not to call the police on me. However, she was up in the air about leaving me,
Whoa.
saying the old 12ing him made her question whether I was a safe person to be around. Mind you, I had never the old 12'd anyone before and hate confrontation, as you'll see more of in this post. She admitted that she hadn't full-on spicy sleeped, but had been intimate in other ways until became very heavily pregnant with our son.
Whoa.
She said she had been feeling guilty for a while, and they had stopped once our son was born. She admitted she had been unfaithful and that our trust was broken. Still, I wanted to stay together and rebuild our relationship because I loved her and wanted my son to grow up in a whole family. We talked it out and agreed to stay together. She promised to go back to being just friends with the best friend.
Why would... I feel like OP is just not putting any boundaries here.
Meanwhile, he was trying to convince her to leave me and be with him instead, though that was hardly an option. He lived with his parents and had no job, so he couldn't provide for anyone. A few days later, my wife, the best friend, and I sat down for a conversation.
Whoa.
He gave her an ultimatum, him or me.
What?
My wife is notoriously bad at communication.
Shocked.
It's hard to get any kind of response from her. She tends to just sit there expecting others to do all the talking and figure things out. But the best friend wanted her to say it directly. Dude, the circumstances oh my God, so bad. He wanted to hear her say out loud that she was done with him romantically. So we sat in silence for a long time.
I would be like, no, I need an answer now, or one, get out of here. I would put my foot down again.
So eventually,
Yes.
she chose me, but
Okay.
only in silence. He demanded she say it out loud, and she finally did. I thought that was the end of it. The best friend and I shared a weird hug.
What is this story?
What? Why would you hug him?
Why, dude?
I'm not sure why. I'm not sure why.
We're not sure why.
Maybe some subconscious apology for how he had to come into our lives and turn everything upside down. Despite my wife saying she was done with him romantically, they remained friends.
No.
But not for long. She continued to feel guilty because she would occasionally slip up and kiss him.
What are you doing?
Like an idiot, I excused these mistakes for the sake of keeping our family together.
I think you're bad at communicating, my guy.
A few months later, she brought up the idea of an open relationship, a way for her to have everything she
Oh
wanted
my God.
without
I am
guilt,
tired of this.
without guilt or consequences.
I am tired of this.
I could see she was struggling. We were both exhausted from taking care of a baby, and she had suffered from severe postnatal depression. She had also struggled with depression at the start of our relationship and before.
I wonder why.
By the time we got engaged and married, she had improved significantly and was off her medication, but the pregnancy, combined with this whole love triangle, had brought her right back down. So being the idiot I was, I agreed to an open relationship to make her happy.
Who's a bigger a-hole here?
It's not that he's an a-hole.
You're just an a-hole to yourself.
He just doesn't.
And to your relationship.
He doesn't know how to respect himself, and that makes me deeply sad. So being the idiot I was, I agreed to an open relationship to make her happy.
I just remembered a very sad, tragic tale.
Oh, what is it?
I remember when a young Samuel Donner, he wanted to join the cool kids, but instead of labeling you as one of the cool kids,
They called me Salad Boy because I ate nothing but salads. I could not trade my lunch for a lunch. Really anything.
You know what community will always welcome you with open arms, Sam?
And make you feel like a cool kid?
The great people who have OK Storytime memberships.
Oh, I heard that's 60 plus hours of members-only content Monday, Wednesday, Fridays.
You heard right, Sam, and it's only $5 a month.
So go to the link in our description, youtube.com/OKOP show/join. Now back to the story.
Chomp, chomp.
This open relationship lasted until around April of this year. She was happy having her family life with husband and child with me, and then her outgoing fun part of life with the best friend. I did not see another woman during this, as I was committed to my wife, even if she wasn't fully committed to me. My main reason for sticking this out was mostly for the sake of my son. I wanted him to have a proper family, and I just wanted a simple family life. The other part was fear or shame.
How do you not understand that?
If I left, it would all come out and everyone would know. I have a good relationship with my in-laws, and my family is currently planning to move down to where we are because they want to spend more time with my son. If I leave, it will ruin so many relationships, and I fear the blame will be on me for not stopping it sooner, so I soldiered on. Even though I was miserable most of the time, I did it for my son and my family so they might be happy, and seeing them happy would help me forget or at least block it out. So during this whole open relationship, while our side was fine, we had family trips and holidays, and my wife and I were still able to be intimate with each other in the very rare times that our child allowed us to be. She wasted no time having spicy sleep with the best friend. They would go out in the evening a few times a week and sometimes away for weekends together.
This is insane to me.
He did not like hearing my name even being mentioned, so when they were together, I'm sure they pretended like I didn't exist. They had even taken our son for day trips to farms and soft play when I was working, and that was one of the few times I had the guts to say something and say that he was my son, and that the family stuff should remain with the actual family. Myself hearing his name was quite the opposite. Whenever they fought or had some kind of disagreement, shut up, I was the shoulder to cry on and the empathetic listener as any suggestions fell on deaf ears. Whenever I felt close to caving and leaving, my son would float into my mind and it would stop me every time. In April, this all came to a head. She had said they'd been fighting more and more, He was spending more time on his phone when he was with her, and this resulted in her half-heartedly breaking up with him to try and rouse something out of him, but he took her at her word and broke up with her. She backpedaled and tried getting him back, but he ended up going no contact with her. She was inconsolable for weeks, and I was there as always to pick up the pieces.
You're the best friend!
So I was always there to pick up the pieces while she was physically ill and cried, and I and her parents looked after my son. She'd attempted a few more times to reach out to him, and each time this relapsed her progress in getting over in him. She had even tried to go back to being just friends, but either he couldn't do that or didn't want to. They had met a few times with my son as some kind of intermediary to force them to.
This is insane to me. I am dumbfounded. This is one of the most dumbfounding stories I've ever read.
So to not be intimate if such a feeling arose, but after that he said he couldn't be just friends, and they finally cut it off again, and she blocks him on everything. I finally felt some sense of relief. I'm sure, like my efforts had been rewarded somehow, that by staying, I now finally have my wife back, and we could all move on, and my life would finally be normal again.
How do you move on from this and be like, yeah, that was great. My relationship is wonderful. My family's wonderful. My life is wonderful. I am, again, dumbfounded.
Now it is almost September. To take her mind off of him, she has gotten into writing spiritual journals and has started her own business. Wow, that's actually good news.
I don't know how to feel.
She was in childcare before becoming a full stay-at-home mom, but she's now using her qualifications for her business and has been doing very well. No way. What's her business? I've been very supportive, even helping with purchasing a domain, setting up emails, and creating a website. My issue now is that I don't think she loves me the same anymore. The last time she and the best friend were intimate was when she was very emotionally vulnerable. From what she said, he took advantage of that, and they had spicy sleep before he then dumped her. This contributed to her becoming physically ill. At one point, she wanted to be intimate with me again, so the last time she had spicy sleep wouldn't be tied to that traumatic experience. She took the time she needed, and eventually we were intimate again. After a few more times, she told me she didn't want to have spicy sleep anymore. She cited one of her mom's friends as an example, saying, X and Y don't have spicy sleep. It wasn't like we had the chance to be intimate very often, but I always tried to initiate when I thought the time was right. However, no became the answer going forward. I was told that spicy sleep isn't the whole relationship, and I understood that, but I also communicated that intimacy is part of how I show love. Since then, we hadn't had spicy sleep, and I can't get anything more from her than cuddling and a quick peck on the lips. So I started feeling insecure because of this and tried to discuss my feelings with her. I told her I felt unhappy and unsure about where we stood in the relationship.
Now?
She insisted that things were fine and that we were staying together for our son.
This is insane to me.
I told her it was more than that for me because I still loved her the same. She then asked if I wanted to split up, and I asked her if she loved me. She said she did, but as usual, my heart wasn't in it, and I couldn't bring myself to commit to the harder decision of leaving. So I stayed. I fear she's staying because it's the easy option or because she has no other choice since her other option left her. Maybe she's still hoping that the best friend will return, and if he does, she will leave me. I asked her if she would leave me for him if he came back, and she said she didn't know. It would depend on the situation at the time. I made my stance clear. If he came back in any form, I was done, and I would just leave. Now, I feel just as stuck or trapped as I did during the open relationship. I'm a good husband and father. I stuck with her through her difficult pregnancy, attended all the scans and appointments, and have been actively involved in raising our son. I work Monday to Friday, but I take over in the evenings before bedtime. I cook most of the time, and when she does cook, it's usually just freezer meal while I make meals from scratch with fresh ingredients.
I'm sorry, did you say you were a good husband? You're a good friend.
Her main complaint, which initially drove her to the best friend, was that we never went on dates outside the house. However, she never expressed this to me, so how would I have known? So instead, she went and had an affair, creating this whole messy love triangle. I've been actively trying to put some more effort into dates. Again, not the problem. There's a lot going on, so we don't always have time for spontaneous date nights since we need to organize childcare. I know that wasn't the case before we had a child, but again, she never communicated that issue back then. We're both introverted, so I thought we were perfectly happy staying in. COVID lockdowns probably didn't help, but I attempted to plan dates once things reopened. Now I feel like anything I do is just going to be compared to what she and the best friend did together, like I'm only doing it because of them. Even after everything, I still love my wife, but I don't know if it's in the same way anymore. I'm actively trying to put in effort, but I don't think it's being reciprocated. Whenever I try to express this, we don't get anywhere. We just keep going in circles. She has never wanted to be the one to make decisions, and this whole situation has played out because she let it. It took the best friend making the decision himself for the relationship to end. Does it have to be me who makes the decision here? If I leave, where do either of us go? Where does my son go? How much more will change or be ruined because of my choice. I've had no one to turn to, and I've tossed this around in my mind for years, wondering why the responsibility falls on me. So I allowed the open relationship to happen to avoid consequences and to keep everyone but myself happy, and I'm still doing it now. Can I ever truly be happy with my family again? If I continue putting in the effort, will my wife see me and love me as she used to, or is she still too hung up on the best friend, just waiting for him to come back so she could leave me or force me to leave? My priority is my son. I want what's best for him, and I've been content in misery because it allows me to see him as much as I do. If I leave, I may not get to see him as often. Right now, I only see him after work and on weekends. I love my wife and I want her to be happy, but have I sacrificed my own feelings for others too much? Yes. Is this the one time I need to put myself first and leave? Yes. If you made this far, thank you. I hope it makes sense. I'm very stuck and lost in many other things and need some help, and I put off asking for it for so long, either to save myself from a truth I don't want to hear or to spare my family and friends from all of this. Now there's an update.
Just get to it.
It seems like we've expressed
too many emotions and feelings that it's gonna be the same thing.
I don't think I've been so grilled in my life, but boy, did I need it.
Yeah, wow. Okay.
I think I needed to be beaten down from a place outside of my own head for it to really get through without any excuses or justifications being made up in my mind. This is very real, unfortunately. It is very sad and pathetic, and I am very broken and need fixing. Everyone who has said, get a paternity test, he is mine. He couldn't look more like me if he tried, but the soon-to-be ex-wife...
Whoa.
And the other one didn't have spicy sleep until he was already born, that you know of. There's a history of them lying to you. They were courteous enough to wait for Mr. Doormat to lay down and open the relationship. It seems like he's become self-aware.
He took the internet to get it over his head.
Of course, they could be lying, but I think given she wants to be with him more than me, the child being his would be a good way out. Thank you for the truth and the harsh words. If anyone needs a new doormat, I'm clearly a prize to behold.
OP.
I apologize for the length of the original post. I had so much stored and wanted to air it out. But for those who read halfway or didn't read it at all, but still give the clear advice of leave. Thank you. I do need therapy. And I need to be alone for a while before I can love again. It is coming up to 9 years, and that's a long time. And you could say a lot of a time wasted with false hope that things would improve, but I see now it's over. The one good thing to come of it is my son, and I see now staying will do him no good in the long term. I'd finished work, picked up my son from my in-laws after having dinner as she was out for the day with her sibling. I got him ready for bed and read him stories, and he went to sleep. I could not. I kept reopening the original post, looking through the comments, all unanimously saying to leave. Recently, as 30 minutes ago, she came home and I had a brief conversation with her. I said we should split up, and she agreed.
Shocking.
I said that I hadn't felt respected in a long time, and this felt more like a friendship or roommates than it was a marriage anymore.
Yes.
It felt like I was a safe option to hold on to, not out of love, but for safety and ease.
Yes.
But if you want safety, ease, and love, you can listen to full episodes with stories just like this. Just go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or your favorite podcast app and search OK Storytime.
Easy.
So there's another relevant update, but let's go into it.
Let's go into it.
I thought about all the comments about the effects the continuation would have on my son and expressed as much. I'd felt walked over and disrespected, and I couldn't raise my son that way. Can't be the father he needs if I am not the man I should be. She left and started to get teary before she left, which I didn't expect, as she had rarely shown much of a care the last time I half attempted to convey my feelings of the relationship. So maybe she does care more than I thought, but not enough to undo everything that's happened. She has gone to sleep at her parents'. I am now alone in my house with my son. Now everything will change, but it will be for the better, however long it takes. I'm going to try and get some sleep.